I don't care if you're the Easter Bunny, you're not bringing this on the station.
This is Ambassador Jakar's quarters. This is Ambassador Jakar's table. This is Ambassador Jakar's dinner.
Have I ever told you that you are very cute for a Mimbare?
That's it, I'm leaving.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Who Are You, a Babylon 5 watchcast hosted by two strangers who get to know each other while bonding over their favorite television show, Babylon 5. I'm Xhafer.
And I'm Laura.
And we're here to talk about Season 1, Episode 6, The Parliament of Dreams today. But before we get to that, Laura, who are you?
Who are you?
Who are you?
Do you know who I am?
Well, I'm going to say this with an asterisk. And I'm going to say that I am a nail biter,
Okay.
which may be a weird thing for a 35-year-old woman to admit, but I'm going to guess that there's more people out there listening that also identify with this than would necessarily want to admit on a podcast.
I mean, looking at my hands right now, I don't think I have much argument, so.
Okay. I've been self-conscious about it for a long time. I have been doing it as long as I can remember. I am told that when I went to kindergarten, I was a thumbsucker. I was the, 5-6-year-old who was still doing that. And I think when my parents got me to break that habit, it just became nail biting.
Yeah, I have the
Yeah.
same story almost, only much
wow.
later in life. So I also bite my nails,
Uh-huh.
but I didn't start biting my nails until after I quit smoking in my 20s.
Oh. Yeah. I feel like there's some sort of correlation between these
Yeah.
habits.
Yeah, I believe it's referred to as an oral fixation.
Yes. And I never picked up a smoking habit being an aspiring opera singer. That was not going to fly, right? So I've just always bit my nails and I know logically that it's a way of dealing with anxiety or boredom or all these other things. And I've tried, I don't know if you have tried to kick the habit, but the things that I've tried in the past, I have done the acrylic nails, which I would guess you wouldn't have tried acrylics, but I
No,
don't know.
I haven't. I've had my nails painted once or twice in my life.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. Acrylics are a whole other thing. I don't know if you've seen anybody get them.
I am familiar with them. I spent a lot of time working in retail remodeling,
Uh-huh.
and I have built more cosmetic walls and spent more time with cosmetic products, not using them, but just like seeing them and advertising for them and building the displays for them, where I have a much more than passing familiarity with a lot of this stuff.
Okay.
So
Well-
acrylics are the ones you have to put under the lamp, and they're like the super heavy duty ones, or is that something
Well,
else? Resin
there's a
ones?
lot of ways to do them. The ones that I would get, and they would stop me from chewing my nails. But one of the things that a lot of nail salons do to adhere acrylics to your nail is they will drill it. They like Dremel your nail.
Ugh.
If you haven't ever done this, listener, or had it done, it just sucks. Like, it doesn't hurt, but it kind of does hurt, especially if they do it bad. And then once you get that acrylic tip taken off, once you decide I don't want to have these anymore, your nail's trashed. Like, especially if you have thin, brittle nails like nail biters tend to have. So that was not helpful. Not a helpful method to try to quit, because once that came off, I became obsessed with like, these are brittle and terrible. And I would just start chewing again. I've tried the bitter nail polish.
hmm
And that worked okay. But once it wears off, my hands just go right back in my face.
Yeah.
Tried, trying to have my nails painted all the time, but especially in different periods of my life, just having 30 minutes to put nail polish on your nails without your child messing them up was impossible. So I've gone through periods where I was able to stop, but they always ended. Those periods have always ended.
hmm
And I recently decided to try something a little bit kooky
Okay.
to try to kick this habit. I have, read many things on the internet about it. Some people think that it's a form of OCD. Some people think that, it's some kind of anxiety disorder to be a nail biter.
Mhm.
But have also seen some things about people trying hypnotherapy and going to a
Okay.
hypnotist. Yeah. So I had my first hypnotist appointment this week. It went pretty well. She does the way that this hypnotist does her work. She meets with you before she does any hypnotizing and tells you all about it and what she's going to do and what you can expect.
Mm-hmm.
At that appointment, we talked about my issue is nail biting. I found her because she works with a lot of smokers, actually, to help them stop smoking. And she said it's the same thing. We're going to work the same way I would with a smoker, but your issue is just a little different. She actually asked me that at that appointment to try to prep myself for what we're doing by not chewing just a couple of my nails. She was like, just these two. Don't chew those. Anything else, do what you need to do.
All right.
And actually, since then, I've only attempted to bite any of my nails once. Just
Really?
having that conversation with her. I don't know if something is like kickstarted in my brain. One of the things that she said to me was that because I did, introduce myself the way I did for this podcast as a nail biter.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "You are not a behavior."
Oh, that's
You
nice.
Yeah. She said, "You are not a behavior. This is a thing that you're doing, and your body is doing it for a reason, and your mind is doing it for a reason right now. And we can nudge your mind to know that you don't need this anymore."
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what she's going to work with me on. It was a lot like being asleep, which is probably what everybody says. I don't know. I don't know anybody who's had it done for this reason.
I don't know anyone who's been hypnotized.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting. Yeah, feels like being asleep.
Mhm.
I mean, do you like sleeping? Is that a feeling you enjoy?
Oh, yes.
Okay, see, I don't like sleeping.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, I hate sleeping. If I could just not sleep, I wouldn't.
Oh, man.
I
You
feel
are
like
an alien.
I feel like it's such a waste of my life to have to sleep.
Huh.
I abhor it.
Wow. Well, that's why you're more interesting than me.
I disagree, but continue.
Just like I had a great dream last night.
See, I don't remember my dreams. I
Oh,
remember
really?
I remember like maybe a dream every 2 or 3 months.
Huh.
And they're typically very mundane. I've had dreams where I have gone to work, worked an entire workday, and then woken up and it was a dream and I had to go to work.
That's the shittiest dream, though. That's the worst.
Yeah, that's like my bar.
Yeah.
I tend to dream of very specific scenarios that could totally just happen in my real life. To the point where when something similar happens, I feel like, oh, I had a dream about this. Well, yeah, you had a dream about having a conversation with your boss about a work thing that you knew was going to happen in a week, dummy.
Right.
That's I don't really remember my dreams.
Huh. Well, I
The crazy-
enjoyed it.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah, I
I-
enjoyed it. It was I thought the whole time I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm hearing all of this. I know exactly what we're doing. I
Mhm.
know what she talked about the whole time." But then when I came out of it, I was like, "Oh, no, it's all gone." Like it all slipped away. I didn't remember any of it. I thought as I was listening that I was remembering it all, but I did not.
Okay. That's super interesting.
Yeah. So
I want a status update on this in like a month.
yeah. She recorded everything so you can like watch and see that you didn't do anything crazy and that she didn't say anything weird.
Yeah.
She actually wants you to, and I haven't done this yet because it's been a busy week, but she wants you to review your recording, watch it without, with the intent not to be hypnotized, and then watch it again being open to being hypnotized so you can kind of do some of that prep work still on your own.
Okay.
And next week I have another appointment, and she said that's the appointment where she's really going to start directing me about this habit and that we don't need this habit anymore.
Awesome.
And so I'm optimistic.
Yeah. No, I hope that works out for you.
Yeah.
It's something that you're clearly self-conscious about, so I will acknowledge the bravery in talking about that to the internet.
Yeah.
Um,
But I think that there will be some people who will feel less stigmatized, so it's worth it. Well, this episode isn't exactly a nail biter, but I love it.
No, this is such a great episode. Okay, I have 3 things I want to do before we go to this episode.
Okay, 3 things.
1, this episode won a fucking Emmy.
I did see that in the cursory research that I did.
Good for them.
Congrats. Yes.
And then this episode is what JMS considers to be the first strong episode of the show.
I think that's a fair assessment, and I agree with it.
Yes. And he was really bummed out that they got absolutely slaughtered in the ratings because this aired in February of 1994
Okay.
against the 94 Olympics,
Okay.
where the figure skating pairing for the night of who was going to go against each other for the Olympics, Tonya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan, were paired. This is a month after the assault.
Nancy Kerrigan's charm. Well, she took quite a beating, so you're not above cheating.
Oh my
The
gosh.
assault happened at Cobo Hall, which is actually just miles from me in Detroit, in January at like a pre-Olympics national championships, whatever it was, event. And then a month later, after this had been all over the news and the trial had just started to like all this stuff was happening. Obviously, Tonya Harding hadn't been banned yet.
Yeah.
But it was still all over the news at this point.
The biggest gossip girl fight of 1994
Yeah.
on
Aired
TV at the same time.
against this. Yeah.
Oh man, that sucks so much.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. J.
Right.
Michael Straczynski, you
Don't
were
feel-
robbed.
Well, with that, let's get into the meat and potatoes here. Let's get into this episode.
Yes. So I was thinking about this episode, and we've got 3 main stories going on. I don't think you can really label them A, B, and C because I think they're all equally important stories
That's fair.
in this episode. Like I think the A story that they identify on the streaming services anyway is that somebody wants to kill Jakar. Somebody's
Yeah.
running around trying to kill Jakar.
That doesn't feel like the primary story, but you're right. None of them really do feel like the main thing. They all get a
Mhm.
fairly split amount of time.
Yeah, and we
I-
even get cuts back and forth between stories that are, happening.
Yeah.
Things are happening at the same time. Yeah.
Concurrently, yeah. If anything, I'd say the Sinclair Catherine is the B, and the Jakar and the religious festival are both A in their own way.
Yeah, okay. I'm with that.
But it's all fantastic. It's all great. I got feelings about all these plots.
I did too. I will say this. I remembered this episode from my childhood. I
Mhm.
did not remember the Catherine plot at all. I
Yeah.
remembered the other 2. And that may have just been, where little Laura was in her intellectual
Mhm.
development, that the romance didn't register.
Yeah, it didn't.
I could see some criticisms perhaps of the Religions of Babylon 5 story of, being maybe heavy-handed or something, but I don't care. I love it, and y'all can go.
Yeah, we'll get to it at the end, but we'll just get to it at the end actually. So we start at Space TSA with a Drazi carrying a knife on board for the religious ceremony. Garibaldi gives him lip despite this not violating Sinclair's Rule 1, as the knife is not both guns and drugs.
Yeah, that's true.
But we'd get this sweet, sweet exposition dump from Garibaldi
Mhm.
about how every alien culture is encouraged to demonstrate their dominant religious beliefs for the week.
Mhm.
And I really liked this from a exposition dump standpoint. Like, it does
Sure.
a good job of setting up the story. But given what they're talking about, it felt like 2 white guys complaining about Black History Month to me.
Oh, yeah, a little bit.
It has that vibe real hard.
Especially because Garibaldi was a bit disrespectful to the
Yes,
Drazi.
he for sure was.
He was making good jokey jokes, but I was
Mhm.
sitting there like, that's actually kind of
Yeah, I'm gonna go throw your knife out an airlock and you can go catch it. And if you can catch it without having to die in space, then you're fine.
Yeah.
It's like fucking rude.
yeah. Maybe I'm just hyper aware of those things being in Oklahoma where lots of resettled people have been disrespected for a long time. So, yeah, I did
Yeah.
love that. I'll tell you what I did love in this scene was we open up on the inside on Space TSA and we get
Mhm.
some of the like warning signs.
The signage, yeah.
Yeah, I loved it, and I love whoever in the props department had to put that together. The one that I could really read talked about the 6 different atmospheres on Babylon 5
Mhm.
and like what to do or where to go, I'm assuming, but I was like, that's a nice detail for those of us who hit pause on our laptops and want to read it.
Yeah. And something we have with the HD remaster.
Mhm.
Because there's stuff in this episode. Holy shit. There is a moment in this episode that So like it's at the 21-minute mark. We'll talk about it because I'm going to call it out again.
Mhm.
But there's something that I never noticed before, and I've seen this episode a bunch of times. And I watching it in HD for the first time, I saw something brand new, and
Wow.
it is so good. It is such a good moment. I can't wait
ready
to talk
for it.
about it.
I'm
But
ready
we
for
got to
it.
get so Garibaldi sees someone come through the airlock and is just like, "Oh shit," and runs off.
Mhm.
Just like, who is this terrorist? Like, it's like, what would cause the chief of security to freak out like this? We'll soon find out.
It's just a woman.
Yep. Yep. Uh, after this, we cut to Jakar's room where he is singing and cooking.
Okay, this song is a goddamn delight. I love it.
This is an original tune.
I looked it up actually because
Yeah.
I was sure listening to this that it was some sort of like golden age of musicals tune
Yeah.
from
Well,
something.
yeah, there's a song that's like, "Oh, I love my dear Bonnie."
Mhm.
Like there's and it kind of sounds like that. Like it could be like a verse of this song that I knew the chorus of from the ether that I'd pulled somewhere in my brain meets.
Yeah,
And so I also looked into it, and yes, original tune.
totally original. I was baffled a little bit by the lyrics then because I was like, "Oh, do they have Bonnies on Narn?"
Well, as we get further reinforced by this episode, Narn women are not Jakar's taste.
I honestly was reading this part until I Googled it as like him singing some sort of human tune because he is fascinated with humans as well as
Yeah.
Delenn is, just in a different sort of way.
For sure. Yeah. How different sort. Anyways.
I love this whole scene though. The song is great. It's a delight. He's got live crawfish in his dinner, and then he gets his message from a
Yeah.
courier from Narn who's, he says it's very urgent. And when Jakar finally puts it in the TV, we get some good sarcastic reacts and
For sure.
just delightful.
It pleases me to know you will live in fear, but not for long. Dun dun dun.
Mhm.
It's a really good thing that Jakar doesn't have like an anxiety disorder because this would really mess with him if he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be terrible for. Oh no, he does have an anxiety disorder, doesn't he? And then the Toth shows up.
Yeah.
Hey, we get some more attaches. It's no longer just Veer.
Right. We get two in this episode, don't
We
well,
do.
we had Kodath for a little bit, but apparently Kodath had an accident with an airlock, and I feel just rest in peace, Kodath. You got an
Right.
off-screen death. I'm so sorry.
Do you think Jakar did it? Non
Oh.
0% chance.
I, mm,
How can we possibly find out which of you did it?
What do you mean, which of you did it?
Well, I didn't do it. Well, one of us did. We all had the opportunity.
I don't think he did it on purpose if he did it.
Okay.
I think it was an accidental accident. Just
Well-
like the way he says it.
And then we see Garibaldi, as we find out, has beelined for Sinclair's quarters
Mhm.
to let him know that Catherine, not Carolyn, is on board.
The big scary woman has arrived.
Right?
Sinclair takes
Um,
it really well.
He does.
He's pretty chill about it.
Well, he tries to be really chill about it.
Uh-huh.
We see how that goes.
Yeah, he starts out very chill, and then it
Yeah.
just kind of escalates to I'm not chill.
Constantly degrading, yeah. So after this, we get our Centauri religious ceremony.
I love this too.
This is probably the best scene in this episode.
Yeah.
This was done in one take,
Oh my gosh, I
Right?
can believe that. Yeah.
and about a third of it from Lando's lines mostly was improvised.
Nice.
And famously, the show, like JMS, had a hard rule about not allowing improv.
Mhm.
So there's all kinds of stuff in here that's fun because it's just crazy.
Yeah, I love that Londo is our representation in this show of dying empire, right?
Yeah, for sure.
He is that made form, made man. And in this Centauri religious party, we get quasi medieval music,
Right.
kind of invokes royalty.
It's good to be the king.
We get the kind of Napoleonic costumes, which we've had
Yeah.
those for a while, but it's still that sort of vintage of a certain kind of empire.
Yeah.
And as he's describing their religion, a big part of it is them conquering another race.
Mm-hmm.
And we have these multiple Roman-like gods.
There's lots of Rome stuff going on. I called that out in my notes too. Yeah, and that's definitely not on accident.
Nope. Yeah, that's very intentional.
Yeah.
It was all here. All of the things that we needed.
Yep. Yeah.
You
Do you
can
know what
tell
the last Zahn said before he died? Like, oh, let's make jokes about genocide. Cool, Londo.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a trip. And it must have been a hoot for them.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, drunk acting is a hard thing to do.
Yeah, it is.
And
Londo just goes crazy with crawling on the table and passes out.
Yes.
When he passes out, Veer goes, he has become one with his inner self.
That's so sweet, Veer. He's just so sweet.
Every time I pass out in the rest of my life, I want someone to yell that. I need a collective agreement from everyone I drink with that if I ever pass out from drinking, I need someone to yell that immediately.
Okay, see, now we have to have the real podcast meetup in real life so that you can do that and I can yell that for you.
I appreciate
I'm here
that.
for this.
Okay. I've passed out from drinking once in my life. So it's going to be some work to get there, and it's not going to be pretty.
This is some work I'm willing to do. I'm here for you.
I appreciate that.
Here's a Who Are You freebie as well. I'll give you a twofer today. I am definitely party scene Londo when I'm drunk. He's saying, "You're cute. Everybody's cute." I was like, that's me.
Same though.
No apologies. It me.
Right. Yeah. I've been there.
But we keep cutting back and forth from the people having fun, which is Londo, Veer, and Susan Ivanova for some reason. Go girl.
Well, I mean, she is Russian.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
This fits.
We cut back and forth from the fun people to the Debbie Downers with Garibaldi and Sinclair having a totally awkward conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's totally awkward, and then it gets even more awkward for Sinclair when he leaves the Centauri thing and goes to talk to Catherine, and it is just so awkward. And I've had this conversation. It sucks, but it's important.
Did your pants start talking? That was my favorite part.
I don't know. Very Oprah relatable for me.
Yeah. I don't think I had the developmental context in 1994 to understand this conversation, and I sure do now.
In 1994, I 100% didn't. In 2000 something, like if I had watched this in high school, I would have been all like, "Oh, it's romance," but this is weird. Like me now, I have someone like this in my life.
Yeah.
Like I understand exactly this conversation. I know that we run into each other every couple of years. Like, I know exactly what's going on here. And it is just in such a relatable way that it hurts me.
I'm in this picture and I don't like it.
Look at this photograph.
Right. Yeah. That's me. And then we cut over to Chakar, who's mean mugging Natoth and just loses his shit about everything.
Yes.
And Natoth is so good here. She's like, if I wanted you dead, I'd just fucking kill you. Just, what's concerning?
Long live Natoth.
Right. She's the best.
I love how she's not having any of his bullshit. He's going on with his self-importantness, and she says, "Look, if it was me, you would already be dead."
Yeah, if you haven't woken up with a horse's head in your bed, you're fine. And then, of course, he goes to sleep, and the black flowers waiting for him.
I loved the creepy Calliope dream music that they put on this.
Yeah.
And it was his song as creepy Calliope dream music. It was great.
We get our Jakar screamed a commercial. He resolves to handle it himself, and then Lanier comes on board.
Yes.
And
I love Lanier.
Lanier's great. Bill Mummy. So good in this show. And the whole scene with him refusing to look up is just such a good introduction to this character.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you get so much about
Yeah.
this character so quickly from just that little bit. And then he says, understanding is not required, only obedience, when he's instructed to not use her title or refer to the Grey Council. And I'm like, that's from something. It has to be from something. That's a quote. He's quoting
no.
something.
Oh no, really?
It's just, it sounded too familiar to me.
Oh.
Right?
Oh, I thought you were saying actually like J. Michael Straczynski was quoting a famous person.
Oh, he could have been. It's actually very close. I did research on it.
Yeah.
And it's actually very close to something Confucius said, which is
Okay.
you can force someone to obey, but you cannot force them to understand.
Okay. Yeah. I think we learn a lot about the Minbari politics and religion in this scene without discussing much of Minbari politics or religion, like not openly directly saying this is this and this is this. He gives us, the third Fane of Chidomo.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now we know something about that. We know it's there. Is it politics? Is it religion?
It's been for 500 years they've been serving.
Yeah.
Presumably the Grey Council, because he has to stop himself and he can't say Grey Council anymore.
Rose through the ranks pretty quick because he talks about being a simple novitiate. And all of a sudden he's sent off to assist Satai Delenn on her secret mission.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think we get more of that later too. Like Delenn picked him out of like his studies and stuff.
I vaguely remember something about that.
Yeah, I think someone that was one of her mentors was one of his teachers.
Got it.
After this, we finally get to see Nagrath again.
Yeah, Nagrath is back, baby.
I'm back, baby!
And have they not said his name before?
I don't think they have.
Okay, because I felt really bad about not making any Mark McGrath jokes up until this point. I'm all like, how did we drop this ball? But if this is the first time they said his name, then I think we get a pass.
I think so, because I was just referring to him as Mr. Mantis, which I kind of still want to do. But
that's fair.
He does have a name. We'll use it from time to time.
Yeah. Someday. Make a Sugar Ray themed drop.
Sure.
Jakar gets his bodyguard, and the captain brings Catherine to a breath of fresh air, and they have such a studied dynamic in here that if I didn't have this in my life, I would not consider this to be believable.
Yeah.
Like if I had not experienced a conversation very similar to this in many regards, I would just be all like, there's no way people actually interact like that. It's all like, oh no, that happens.
Yeah.
It's like Grandpa Simpson. It will happen to you one day. Like, it's just like.
Yeah, it was a very sexy dinner.
It was a very sexy dinner.
They talked to, he said something about 3 parts passion, 2 parts teeth. And I was like, hot.
That's funny because I wrote down 3 parts passion, 2 parts teeth. No kink shaming, Sinclair. Because he didn't mean it positively. And
yeah,
I was like, true. Hey, you lay off the kink shaming, Captain Sinclair. Teeth's your thing. That's fine.
Yeah, I realized the whole time I'm watching the whole romance thing, I'm like, oh, they're setting her up to be a foil, a third, a love triangle for Delenn, and I don't like that. Like, I like this. I like Catherine. I like her. Like, I'm glad that Delenn thing didn't work out. not for it.
Well, I mean, we get to the Minbari ceremony after this, and I need you to scrub to 2255.
Oh yeah. Is this the thing you were gonna call out?
Yep. And when it gets to 2310 is the thing, but you need a little bit of setup. So I'm going to describe it and then hit play some point when I'm talking. Okay. So Ivanova is sitting to the left of Jakar. She takes, we find out to be a fruit. I thought it was a hot pepper at first. Jakar takes one.
I thought it was a cherry tomato.
Yeah. I was really hoping it was hot peppers because I feel like that's such a Minbari thing to like only eat for a religious ceremony.
And be so stoic about it.
Right. They have to be so stoic. So at 2310, behind Delenn's head, you see Jakar's hand reach out and switch his hot pepper with Ivanova's.
Yes.
It's so good.
He's so paranoid at this moment. Yeah.
Right. And like they even like you hear the shuffling on the table. Right. And I'm sure that was in the mastering of the previous versions of this I'd watched. But in SD, I never saw that. Like it just never clicked to me what had happened. And that is such a good fucking detail. I loved it. I'm so happy talking about it. It is just, it's so, because it's exactly what should happen, right? That Jakar 100% is not going to accept food right now because of this plot on his life.
Right.
He's going to swap it, and he just like very quickly, him and Ivana was just like swap, just in case, even though they're like a bunch of Minbari and it's a religious ceremony, and this is probably the least likely place he's going to get assassinated.
Right.
That's how paranoid he is.
Yeah, and his
And I
bodyguard
love
didn't
it.
show up. He couldn't make his bodyguard
Yep.
taste it.
Yeah, and he gets back to his quarters after the ceremony, and his
Oh.
bodyguard's dead.
I'm sorry. I had one other thing I wanted
go
to say
for it,
about
yeah.
the ceremony. I definitely had a hard time listening to the words because it was just like, religious words, which sometimes go in one ear and out the other, right? But I did catch on my second watch through on this episode the phrase renewal disguised as defeat.
Yes.
And I thought that was a great build on the world that I'd never noticed before because I didn't listen to the religion.
Yeah.
But
No, that is an excellent amount of foreshadowing, and really, really well describes the cyclical nature of the universe that we're living in currently.
yeah, and it's not overt foreshadowing. It's one of
Yeah.
those things you wouldn't know it was foreshadowing until you go back and watch it.
Yeah.
I
And even
enjoyed
then,
that.
like, if you didn't know it was so well planned, you might just dismiss it as an accident.
Mhm.
But there's no way. There's no way it's an accident.
Right. But then the next scene is hilarious.
Yeah.
Because he beats up on that dead bodyguard.
He beats up on the dead bodyguard. Garibaldi comes in and finds frilly. What's the technical name for that type of fabric?
Lacy?
Lacy? I just wrote frilly. I don't.
Lacy. Those are lace
Lacy.
panties, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
The more you know.
The more I know, right?
Mhm.
Lacy. Okay. There we
Yeah.
go.
And I'll say this for Garibaldi because he keeps being a jerk in this. He's kind of a harasser, and
He's for sure a dick.
there is no faster way to piss someone off than to refer to their truth as a story. Like,
Ugh.
oh man, when he said to Jakar, I had this is silly, but I had like an instant memory of a time that I was at work and I was under a lot of stress and I passed out at my job, not my
Mhm.
current job, but a job. And they called the ambulance, as
Mhm.
as perfectly reasonable people do. And the paramedics came and they were asking me, they said, "Is there any possibility you could be pregnant?" And I said, "No," because there was not at that time.
Mhm.
And they immediately like got on their little radio and said, "The patient denies any possibility of being pregnant." And I was like, I didn't just
Mhm.
deny it. It's not. I was just like, oh, it's so fucking rude.
Yeah. Yeah, it
So-
is.
Hey, arrest people now! What up, bro? What's up? What's up?
Yeah, it's like it's so weird that our police officer is so harassing.
Mm-hmm.
Such an odd thing, right?
When would that happen?
Yeah,
Ever
I don't
in
think that's
reality? No,
ever
that doesn't
happened,
seem real.
no.
No.
Yeah.
So we get to Natoth, and she puts up with no shit. The late career. Oh man, I laughed so hard at that line. That was so good.
Yes. She delivers her lines really well.
Yep. And then we cut and Catherine finds out she's rich.
Yeah,
That's cool.
she's
Good for
had
her.
some kind of big payday. Good for her.
Mm-hmm.
She shows up. She gets a bunch of, she gets some bottles of wine and
Yeah.
fancy
She buys a bunch of
crackers.
fancy shit and goes to her ex's place.
Uh-huh.
Question. Power play? Big yikes.
Is that direct from your notes?
That is direct from my notes, yes.
This has been a transcription of Xhafer's notes.
Yeah. I need to know. I mean, it worked. So good on her.
Yeah.
And assuming you think her intention was to hook up
Oh, yeah.
in doing all this, like, yeah, it had to.
It's
Um,
yeah. There's
yeah,
no other.
you don't buy a bunch of fancy shit and show up at your ex's place without some hope there that that's going to pay off in some way. But yeah, big yikes or power play. I got to know your personal feelings on this.
Oh, my personal feelings on getting a bunch of fancy shit and going to your ex's place, or
Yeah.
because you've just scored a big payday.
Yeah.
Can it be both?
It can in fact be both. I'll take both as an acceptable answer, having done something like this with the aforementioned person like this in my life. Not quite as spontaneously. They knew I was coming. It wasn't just showing up with surprise showing up. I mean, part of that is just the distance involved. We weren't on a space station together.
5
I've not
miles
been on a
long.
space station with my ex. Surprise. But I've definitely like shown up with some shit that's outside of my price range.
Yeah, I'm far too cheap for that. I have not overspent on anything. But yeah, no, I think it can be both. I think for both people, it can be both.
For sure. Sinclair does not seem into it at first and then very quickly becomes into it.
I definitely wouldn't spend money on it at this point in my life.
Well, that's fair. Yeah.
Be
Oh
like,
yeah, no,
"Nah."
this is a younger Xhafer here. For sure.
You're older and wiser now.
Right. Probably didn't need to spend all that money. Probably could have just shown up.
Yeah.
Results likely the same. But
We get the reprise of Tennyson.
yes.
He's listening to Tennyson and then she's quoting him Tennyson, which is
Yeah.
somehow very hot.
Oh, yeah, that's I mean, for him, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's his bread and butter right there.
I noted some cringy music in this scene. It must have been toward the end because I wrote it toward the end, but I still love this scene. I don't know why.
Yeah. No, yeah, no, been there, understand, here for it. Good for y'all. Hope everyone's happy with your decisions. And if you're not, I hope you learn to deal with them.
Yeah. But in the next scene,
Mhm.
I have some question for you about this next scene, Xhafer.
Yes.
Why did Jakar let Tupari stay in there for the FaceTime?
We traced the call. It's coming from inside the house. You hear me? It's coming from inside the house.
Oh, that was so dumb. He's an idiot.
There was no reason. You would think he would be smarter than that, but apparently he's not.
I mean, this dude just like, maybe he just blended. Like, he's just all like, no, I'm not here.
Fade.
Right?
Like-
just all like, you
like
forgot I
Homer
was here.
Simpson
You're
into
going
the
on with your
bushes.
life. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jakar gets his truth bomb. It was the courier all along.
A question again for you.
Yes.
In the first scene where this courier showed up.
Oh yeah, 100% I knew it was him.
Yeah. Okay.
Every time. Like, even though probably as a child when I watched this, it's all like, oh, that courier's the bad guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what?
I feel like it's
don't
super
care.
obvious.
I still liked it.
Yeah. It's so obvious to me consistently
Mhm.
that, and also just knowing Natoth is not because of her involvement later in the series,
Mhm.
that anything that she does is suspicious. I just immediately dismisses. That's just Natoth being Natoth.
Mhm.
Where I can't even read into any of her actions as suspicious because she's living her best life.
She is living her truth.
She is
There
living her
is-
truth, and her truth is not killing Jakar because she would have done it already.
Right.
Go Natoth.
We get a little cutscene in here with the romance
Yeah.
story, and
Yeah.
so
Sinclair-
we're watching this show as a family
Oh yeah.
because I watched it with my father,
Okay.
and this scene rolls up,
Yeah.
and my son looks at me and he goes, "Why are they naked in bed together?" And my husband and I just look at each other, and I'm like, "Well, some people sleep naked."
Right.
I'm trying to be so chill about it.
So chill.
So
7,
chill.
right? Yeah, a little young for that probably.
Yeah, we're not there
Um,
yet. His dad needs another 7 years to prepare for that talk, I think.
Right. Ugh.
And my son is a lot like me, and we're just very outgoing, gregarious little
Mhm.
hearts inside. My son already considers himself to have a girlfriend,
Oh.
and he's had this girlfriend since he was 5.
Oh wow, that's a
Uh,
long-term relationship for.
I
That's
know,
like a
right?
good chunk of his life.
But when he was in preschool, when he was 4, he told everyone that the very pretty, very punk teacher's aide was his girlfriend.
Nice.
Yeah.
Power move.
Yep.
Big
And-
yikes, but power move.
And my husband is like, I was the awkward teenager. I didn't kiss a girl. Like, I was my husband's first kiss, and I kissed him on the cheek as a friend. Like,
Aw,
Yeah,
that's adorable.
because he came to my graduation. He was a year younger than me, and we weren't even in the same school, but he came to
Mhm.
my graduation, and I gave him a kiss on the cheek, and he told me he remembered that for a long, long, long time. I forgot I even did it, but it sounded like something I would do.
It's a good thing he's not going to listen to this podcast to know.
I probably already told him. I have no secrets and no shame.
I would make a point of telling him before he gets to listen to this, just in case.
Just in case.
You can
I'll
edit
do
out
that.
me saying that so you got your cover story.
Right.
Um,
But my son is so, like, outgoing and loving, and Aaron's like, "I don't know how to have the conversation with this."
yeah.
So, good luck.
Good luck. Good luck. My sex talk was my dad handing me a book and saying, "No sex until you're 18."
Yeah.
It was like I got a doctor, I'm guessing a Dr. Spock book or something. I don't know what happened to it.
Mine was about as abysmal, yeah.
Yeah. Just like, this is a thing.
Yeah, so we'll be postponing that, watching out for any more adult content in Babylon 5. Thanks a lot.
I mean, it is the sexier Star Trek.
That's true. That's true.
Um,
Sexier and funnier.
right? Well, most of the time for sure. Yeah. They're just laying in bed and Sinclair just goes, it's been a long road getting from there to here.
You got to get me started.
It's been a long time. But my time is finally here. I will see my dream come alive at last. I will touch the sky.
And you're not gonna hold me down no more.
No, you're not gonna change my mind.
'Cause I've got faith of the heart. I love that song. All you hear is, "Shut up."
I hated it and then I loved it. when I remember the first episode of Enterprise and just going, "What the shit is this?" Being really
I did
mad
have
about
that
it.
reaction too, yeah.
And then it grew on me.
Yeah, and then I was belting it with the whole intro,
Yeah.
a couple
for sure.
episodes later. Yeah, it was good.
That was good. All right. So Jakar gets a whole speech about how fucked he is until Natoth figures it out and beats the shit out of him.
Why is Tupari wearing those glasses? Did you see these glasses?
So Natoth can do the thing with them. That's all they are.
That's all they're there for. He doesn't even have ears for those things. Did you look at the costume?
I didn't even think about that.
I mean, you gotta look at that makeup.
Narniers are just like holes. There's that. Yeah. Can you imagine a Minbari wearing glasses like that and they're just like super long and go down to their ears on their necks?
Horrible. Be horrible. It's a good thing nobody needs corrective lenses in the future.
Right. Glad we fixed that problem. Except this assassin.
hmm Yeah, this guy with his super trendy frames.
Yeah.
He says he's with the Thinta Makur, and their code is very complicated.
Yeah.
Can't quite follow that. All that
Gotta
logic.
kill people. Can't not kill people.
Can't stop, won't stop, never stop.
Right.
It's up to Natoth to save the day.
And she does.
She does.
She destroys the pain thing that's on his neck.
Pain Givers is the least inspired torture device name.
Pain givers. Yes. Rudimentary pain givers.
Yeah. This is not where we won the Emmy.
Right. Agony chamber, it is not.
Mm-hmm.
And
she beats him up to disable those. It's very convincing. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. And they take him to Space TSA and are just all like, "Sup, it's been 3 days. I put a bunch of money in your account. Bye. Here's your ticket. You've got an hour."
Run.
This is so good. This is like Jakar plotting at its best.
Yes, and the back and forth between him and Natoth, like they've been doing this forever.
Right. Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah. I definitely want to know what Jakar did to this guy, the guy that died.
Yeah.
What did he do to him to make him this big of a
it's
target?
A scandal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't find out because it's too scandalous.
Yeah, need
Which,
to know what too
is
scandalous
too scandalous? Yeah, what is too scandalous for Jakar?
Yeah.
It's like the thing with Londo, where it's all like, my family will be shamed for forever. It's all like, bro, you're making jokes about genocide. Think about your people here. What could you possibly have done
Right,
that would make these people feel that way?
right. It's very curious. I wish we
Right.
got that backstory.
We don't, because it doesn't exist.
Right.
There's nothing. There's nothing that a Centauri or a Narn would be ashamed of.
Watch. Somebody's gonna tell us it's in a novel somewhere.
Right? And it's probably something super mundane.
Yeah.
We get a surprise. The Minbari ceremony was also a wedding.
Dun dun dun.
Oh, are
I'm glad this
Sinclair and
died.
Delenn actually married?
No, I'm not having any of it, sir.
That is such a scandal. Spoiler, no, this is too much spoilers. I've done so much spoilers. This is too much spoilers, but
Wow, we've hit the point. We've
we've
figured
hit
it
the
out.
point. This is it. Yeah, it's the biggest twist in the whole show, I think.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
You're
we get a
safe,
bit.
audience.
You're safe right now. We get a bit about Catherine wanting to be around more. See you next Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Which is fun for
Yeah.
2 reasons. One, it's a John Landis joke. It's in a ton of his movies. J. Michael Straczynski says he didn't know that at the time, and he wouldn't have done it
Nice.
if he had known. But also, the show aired on Wednesdays.
I was gonna say, I
Googled it.
really hope the show aired on
Yeah,
Wednesdays.
it
And
did.
it did.
It did.
Delightful.
And then we get the Earth dominant belief system ceremony that
Yeah.
they spent the week to figure out.
Yeah.
And this is so cool. It is a 100+ person lineup introducing someone of basically every faith that they could possibly find. JMS did catch some heat for starting with an atheist
I could see that.
in the 90s. Yeah,
I liked that, actually.
he is rather famously an atheist. So
Oh, see, and I wouldn't have just thought that from, obviously I haven't researched him a ton, but just from watching the show, I wouldn't have thought that he was an atheist.
yeah, he's even admitted it was self-serving to put the atheist first.
Mhm.
So
I read that he felt it was very important to have the Muslim and the Jew
Mhm.
together, and I
Yeah.
appreciated that. I also, being from Oklahoma, appreciated the Native representation, even if
yeah,
I wasn't, I'm very dubious on whether those outfits that they had them in were
so
appropriate.
every extra in this scene was an actual practitioner of the
Okay.
faith that they said.
Great. That
Is
makes me feel
fun
like
fact
ton
one.
better. I needed that because it could be
That's
really
an actual
insincere
fun
otherwise.
fact, right?
Yeah. Okay.
It could have very easily been a not fun fact about that not being true. But no, it is a fun fact. Everyone is a practitioner of the belief they represent. Yeah,
Then
these
I'm
are
even
all
happier.
actual people of their actual faiths. None of these people are actors.
Mhm.
Or if they are, they're extras that they were able to get on a call. This scene has the most extras of any scene in Babylon 5.
Wow.
Apparently, there was like a 200-person lineup. We don't see that much because it fades to black.
Right.
But they shot almost this whole thing. And Michael O'Hare actually memorized everyone's names and religions and did this thing in 2 takes.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing.
Right.
That is amazing and
That's
very
insane.
respectful.
Right. It's so good. And it
God,
really
take a
just
lesson,
adds
Garibaldi.
fucking A. Yeah, I was really when I read that stuff doing my research, I was just like, oh, you did it right, JMS. Oh,
Mhm.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for doing it right.
I think that's the most important information we've got in this podcast. Feel good about that.
Yeah. And that's the episode. Fades to black.
That's the part where I could see people having some criticism, calling it heavy-handed or something like that. But
Yeah.
I really like to have an idea, a dream of the future where people do have different beliefs, but
hmm
we are a functioning Earth.
Right. And this is so different than Star Trek at the time, too.
Mhm.
Because Star Trek has some stuff with faith in it
Yeah.
before really Deep Space Nine was where a lot of that came in. There's some stuff with faith in TNG and TOS, but none of it's really, I feel, particularly respectful. And if
Mhm.
I feel that way as an atheist viewing it, I can only imagine how people of certain religions view it.
Right.
And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm full of shit. Maybe I'm reading into it. Wouldn't be the first time in my life. But this felt very respectful for the religious, all the representation. And it's really cool to see that all this stuff survives another 200 years.
Right. Especially being around Native communities, a big worry is,
Yeah.
that push in America's early history for assimilation is going to erase
Did a lot of damage.
the
for sure.
communities.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, there's lots of conflicting opinions on how to deal with that. The Cherokee Nation, to which I belong, does not have a blood quantum, as they call it, or I'm pretty sure it's quantum requirement. That's a minimum
Oh, yes. Okay.
degree of blood. So I am 1/128th, and they
Oh.
still allow me to be a tribal member. I don't particularly look Native, but I did grow up in Tahlequah. I can see you doing the math, trying to figure out how far back it is.
Yeah. 8 generations?
I should know, and I don't.
That's fine.
Yeah, but there are some nations that's very strict, and I have a
Yeah,
friend
no.
that her if she has a daughter with her current husband, or a son or a daughter, they will not be able to be a tribal member because he's white and she's half or something, something not very small compared to me, but her children, if she does not have her children with another member of the tribe, will not be able to be members of the tribe.
Yeah, I have one of my dear friends from college is in a similar situation, but she's the child who isn't able to, despite her dad even being like, I don't know how, I know that he's a professor at the college that we went to, where he teaches Native American studies. And I know that he's active in the community. I can't speak to his status within the tribe. It's something I have no sight to be able to accurately express.
Okay. So tell me about our next episode, since I didn't pull up the description.
Our next episode is Mind War. A telepathic fugitive seeks help escaping his pursuers. We have a Psy-Core episode. We've got Bester.
A piñata, huh? So, you think of me as something bright and cheerful, full of toys and candy for young children. Thank you. That makes me feel much better about our relationship.
Psy-Core is some of the best of Babylon 5.
For sure.
And so is Bester.
Bester is my favorite non-hero character. Yeah, easy.
Totally.
Easy. Yeah.
JMS said this is the first strong episode, Parliament of Dreams. Mind War is just as strong.
Yeah, it's a good app.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Me too. And we'll talk about it next week.
Thank you to Jeremy Siegel for our theme music. If you want more of Jeremy's music, it is at jeremysiegel42.bandcamp.com.
That's all, folks.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fuck.
All right.
Okay.
Can I button with that one?
Sure can. All right.